ADR, promoting dialogue. It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 p.m. in Lagos. Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. ECOWAS Commission calls on member countries to recognize passports and identity cards held by citizens of the AES member states despite their withdrawal from the regional bloc.
To allow citizens of the three affected countries to continue to enjoy the rights of visa-free movement, residence and establishment in accordance with...
Ahead of 2025 presidential election that's in Guinea, several political parties risk suspension if they fail to register before deadline. Africa Energy Summit secures $40 billion for electricity to over 300 million households in Africa.
President of the World Bank Group and I joined together to launch the Mission 300 with the goal of expanding access of 300 million people in Africa to electricity by 2030.
And the 5th Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum gets underway in Nigeria's northwestern state of Maiduguri. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners within the sub-region and beyond. We begin with the most trending development about the official withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. In a statement today, Wednesday, January 29, the sub-regional organization confirmed the exit of the Sahelan states as requested by them in this same period last year. However, ECOWAS remained high-minded in dealing with the countries of the AES Confederation during the 6-month transitional period. Imo Edit now reports.
ECOWAS says in the spirit of regional solidarity and integration, passports of the citizens of the AES countries remain valid for travel within and outside the sub-region, as well as the continuation of the free movement of goods and services and a visa-free movement. Their departure from the bloc has fractured the region and leaves the ECOWAS grouping with an uncertain future. In a statement, the bloc noted that it will continue to provide full support and cooperation to ECOWAS officials from the three countries in the course of their assignments for the community. The three junta-led countries formally notified ECOWAS of their plan for an immediate withdrawal in January 2024, citing the organization's excessive dependence on France in particular. Paris has become the three juntas' common enemy. They now favor partnerships with countries including Russia, Turkey and Iran. However, ECOWAS requires 1 year's notice for departure to be effective. That deadline falls this Wednesday. The three Sahelian countries have teamed up to form a separate confederation called the Alliance of Sahel States, AES.
That's Imo Edit with that report. Let's take you to Burkina Faso, where AES member countries, some citizens there particularly, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, citizens on Tuesday marched on streets in the capital cities to celebrate the first anniversary of the AES confederations. In Ouagadougou, supporters of the current government stormed the Palace de la Nation as well as other towns across the country. Our correspondent Martin Kabar has the details in this report voiced by Eche Atisu.
The national anthems of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger were played at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Along the three flags was that of the Alliance of Sahel States. The occasion was a commemoration of the first anniversary of the departure of these countries from ECOWAS. Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré is Burkina Faso's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
ECOWAS has taken measures against the Nigerians, it has taken measures against the Malians, and it has taken measures against the Burkinabés by deciding to confine the three countries economically, socially, and financially. It has betrayed its mission to be an ECOWAS of people, to offer the children of West Africa a future of peace. If it hadn't been for January 28, I'm sure Kidal would be still a long way from Bamako.
The ceremony is attended by delegations from the other two countries. The Burkinabe minister is convinced that this withdrawal from the sub-regional organization augurs a bright future for the AES member countries.
Our three heads of state took the right measure of the real needs of their populations and made historic and courageous decisions that have enabled the alliance of three Sahel countries to renew their hope.
On the sidelines of the ceremony, a demonstration of support also took place at Ouagadougou's Place de la Nation. It was an opportunity for the demonstrators to express their support for the heads of state of the three countries of the Sahel Alliance.
That was Echi Atisu with a report from our Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Koba. However, we will shortly bring you the voice of ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Aliyu Touré, who addressed the press earlier today. But before that, let's take you to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has emphasized the critical importance of renewed commitment from regional leaders and international partners to tackle the complex security, social and economic issues facing the Lake Chad Basin. Speaking during the inauguration of the forum on Wednesday, President Tinubu, through his vice president, urged action to ensure lasting peace and stability in the region. Usma Umra tells us more in this report.
The national anthems of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger were played at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Along the three flags was that of the Alliance of Sahel States. The occasion was the commemoration of the first anniversary of the departure of these countries from ECOWAS. Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré is Burkina Faso's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
ECOWAS has taken
President Tinubu is being represented at this event by Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima. In a speech on behalf of the President, Vice President Shettima emphasized the need for sustained cooperation, effective governance, and significant investment in developmental projects. He acknowledged the progress made through initiatives such as the Regional Stabilization Strategy and the Recovery and Resilience Programs.
The worst threat we may face is not the insurgents or terrorists at odds with our humanity. It is the absence of cooperation, sincerity, and fidelity to our shared pact as brothers keepers. We undermine this pact when we renege on agreements to secure our borders, when misinformation and falsehood breed this mistrust, and when we jeopardize the freedom and choices of our people.
However, President Tinubu remains candid about the ongoing challenges posed by insecurity, climate change, and mass displacement. Through his vice president, the Nigerian leader reiterated the importance of addressing the root causes of conflict and enhancing cross-border cooperation among affected countries. Speaking earlier, the governors of Yobe, Borno, and Adamawa states expressed similar sentiments, highlighting the crucial role of the Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum in galvanizing regional efforts to tackle security and climate change challenges. Dr. Matthias Nab is the director of UNDP Regional Service Center for Africa. He underscores his organization's commitment to these issues during his remark.
Recent flooding in Borno State and northern Cameroon has pushed countless families into displacement, further straining already vulnerable communities. These climate-induced disasters underscore the urgency of investing in resilience and adaptation measures. Additionally, the ongoing crisis in Sudan has had a profound impact on Chad and the wider Lake Chad Basin region. Millions have been forced into displacement, crossing borders into Chad, where the humanitarian and development systems are under immense pressure. This influx has not only created immediate humanitarian needs, but also placed long-term strain on the region's stability and resources, highlighting the interconnected nature of our challenges.
The forum's first day brought together participants from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger to address the security, environmental, social, and economic challenges in the region, aiming for lasting solutions as they recover from terrorism, displacement, and environmental degradation. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, northeast Nigeria.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, let's turn our attention to Guinea, where several political parties have not yet complied with the charter for the registration of political parties. These parties have until next Friday to register and meet the necessary requirements, otherwise they risk being suspended or dissolved. While some political parties are working to catch up by organizing their congress, this is not the case for other parties. Abdullahi Hassan has the details in this report.
Out of the 211 political parties approved in Guinea, 54 were suspended in 2024 and 67 were placed under observation for 3 months to ensure compliance with the Charter for Political Party Registration. The deadline for this registration is set for January 31, 2025. Recently, the Party of Hope for National Development, PDN, led by former Prime Minister Lansana Kouyaté, held its National Congress to announce that it is now in compliance with the law. Mohamed Sisse is the spokesperson for the PDN.
The Congress is a statutory requirement that aims forcefully to make decisions on what is done, how to activate on projections, but also reforms related to the statutes. Should we change the structures or improve the functional framework, then the renewal of the bodies, so that is what was done in the 2 days.
In contrast, at the RPG Arkansas, associated with former President Alpha Condé and the UFDG, led by opposition leader Selu Dalenjalo, there is a strong resolve to resist government pressure. Karamu Nabi and Suleiman Souza Konati are members of the RPG and UFDG, respectively.
The Congress is a statutory requirement that aims firstly to make decisions on what is done, how to activate on projections, but also reforms related to the statutes. It is not up to the Ministry of Administration to impose a Congress on a political party. We work without pressure and we do not work according to someone's agenda, but according to the agenda of our political formation.
On the other hand, the Ministry of Territorial Administration has taken a firm stance. Any political party that is not in good standing after January 31, 2025 will face suspension or dissolution from the Guinean political landscape.
Abdullahi Hassan voiced that report fired by our Conakry correspondent Chano Alpha Ibrahim Ambalde. Despite their decision to exit the regional organization, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, reaffirmed its commitment to continue collaboration with the AES member countries. ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Aliyu Toure, in a press conference this Wednesday, reassured the regional bloc preparedness to finalize modalities regarding the AES countries' withdrawal.
We have begun receiving responses from the 3 countries. At least 2 of the 3 countries have already written to indicate their availability for such talks. In the meantime, a number of questions have been raised and we thought we should address them or with a press statement or with this press conference. The first relate to the passports and identification cards that citizens of the 3 countries hold and that bear the logo of ECOWAS. And ECOWAS is informing the general public that national passports and identity cards bearing ECOWAS logo and which are being held by citizens of the 3 countries, Burkina Faso, Republic of Mali, and the Republic of Niger, will remain recognized by ECOWAS member states until further notice. ECOWAS member states will also continue to treat goods and services coming from the 3 countries in accordance with the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and investment policy until further notice. ECOWAS member states will also continue to allow citizens of the 3 affected countries to continue to enjoy the rights of visa-free movement, residence and establishment in accordance with the ECOWAS protocols until further notice. ECOWAS member states are being urged to continue to support and collaborate with ECOWAS officials who are citizens of the three countries, but who continue to exercise official functions on behalf of ECOWAS. This arrangement will be in place until the full determination of the modalities of our future engagement with the three countries by the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. We, as I have said, have put in place structures that will allow for discussion with the three countries.
ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Aliyu Toure. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. ECOWAS Commission calls on member countries to recognize passports and identity cards held by citizens of the AES member states despite their withdrawal from the regional bloc. Ahead of presidential election in Guinea, several political parties risk suspension if they fail to register before deadline. Africa Energy Summit secures $40 billion for electricity to over 300 million households in Africa. And the 5th Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum gets underway in Nigeria's northwestern state of Maiduguri. We also have the guest interview and sports news, so please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Many thanks for staying with us. As a reminder, we are streaming live on YouTube at WADR News and on Facebook, WADR English Service. The African Development Bank, together with the World Bank Group, has committed $40 billion towards achieving energy access for 300 million households in Africa by 2030. This was announced by Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, at the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit of Heads of State in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
President of the World Bank Group and I joined together to launch the Mission 300 with the goal of expanding access of 300 million people in Africa to electricity by 2030. Mission 300 has grown into a global movement, and we were joined by the African Union, Commission, several global partners, including the Rockefeller Foundation, the Sustainable Energy for All of the United Nations, the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, and we are not alone. Critical reforms will be needed to expand the share of renewables, improve functioning and performance of utilities, transparency in licensing, power purchase agreements, and predictable tariffs regimes that reflect the cost of production. Our collective effort is to support you, our heads of state and government, to develop and to implement clear actions embedded in country-led national energy compacts, your compacts, to deliver on your visions for electricity in your respective countries. Together, the African Development Bank and the World Bank will commit $40 billion towards the Mission 300.
That's an excerpt from Dr. Akiwumi Adesina's speech. He is the president of the African Development Bank. Meanwhile, Liberian President Joseph Boakai, who also attended the summit, emphasized his country's commitment to achieving universal energy access as a foundation for prosperity, inclusion, and sustainability across the continent.
Under the arrest agenda, power is very critical. We have 46% of the West African forest still intact in Liberia. So we have the advantage of being able to improve our electricity without affecting the carbon. We believe that this partnership will be able to help us to bring about speedy development of our electricity need and help to improve agriculture, education, the health situation in the country. That is why through our National Energy Compact, we aim to electrify 100,000 households annually, leveraging both the grid expansion and distributed renewable energy solutions.
Liberian President Joseph Boakai. We now focus on oil and gas here in Senegal, where the government is investing $1 billion in the construction of pipelines to export crude oil from the country. The 400 kilometers project, which is already in its first phase, aims to ensure the country's energy supply and strengthen its attractiveness to foreign investors. The state announced this project that will connect the various production sites to consumption centers months after it commenced oil exploitation and made its first commercial export. The first section of this network is already under construction and should represent an investment of nearly $320 million, told a press conference earlier today.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest, Anthony Akwe, is a regional policy analyst from Ghana. Akwe speaks about the official withdrawal of the AES member countries, namely Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS.
Well, thank you so much. I think that in the first place, it's really unfortunate that ECOWAS was not able to resolve the issue, which has finally resulted in the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Niger, and that of Mali. Now, for me, if you look at some of the solidarity and then that of certain policies that the ECOWAS believe that even though they are existing, but there's a need to share that common belief. Yes, you could see some advantages in terms of economic benefit, where the community has already, agreed to accept goods and services from these, countries, and also recognizing some, people who are having a passport that had ECOWAS logo. But for me, as an expert, I think that one of the fundamental issues that has been the issue of terrorism within the Sahel. Unfortunately, if you look at the statement that came from ECOWAS, did not establish how best they are going to ensure regional cooperation to fight, this issue of terrorism. Because if you care to know, terrorism is one of the critical national security issues that one country cannot fight on its own. And so, with the fallout from these, three countries, that is going to make, cooperation, intelligence sharing, and other security approach in fighting this terrorism very difficult, I must say.
Do you think ECOWAS still has a chance to at least negotiate with these countries in the next 6 months?
Yeah, obviously, I think that ECOWAS still have the chance to negotiate, especially if you cast your mind back and you see some of the African leaders who were in power or in office when this whole Buhari started. Thank be to God, we have had a number of new presidents coming in, and I believe that with their liberal approach of cooperation and collaboration, they should be able to assist the leadership of ECOWAS to be able to communicate with these three countries in order to come back into the bloc. Because whilst we leave them to go, it weakens, the bloc in terms of its fight against terrorism, and then so many other aspects which together they could have made. I believe that if you look at Ghana with the election of President John Dramani Mahama and his appointment, he happened to appoint retired Colonel Bobolate, who is going to be an envoy to the Sahel. That actually tells you that the president of Ghana is willing to cooperate, is willing to collaborate with the Sahel, all these countries within the Sahel, in order to ensure that they approach all factors in terms of security, in terms of economic, to the benefit of their countries. And so, for me, I think that for President Mahama to be able to appoint, an envoy within that Sahel region, that should tell you that he should be able to use, that cooperative approach in collaborating with his colleagues, head of state within the ECOWAS sub-region, in order to make sure that they go back to the negotiation table and bring them back to the community.
Antonin Akwe is a regional policy analyst from Ghana. Up next, it's Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The Ghana Football Association GFA has announced significant changes to the Black Stars technical team as they gear up for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in March. Leading the new addition is seasoned German tactician Wilfried Antin Schaffer, who takes on the role of technical advisor to head coach Otto Addo, according to GFA official website. Shafa, a highly experienced coach with over 4 decades in football management, brings a wealth of expertise, having guided Cameroon to victory in the 2002 Africa Cup of Nations. Beyond his advisory role, Shafa will also serve as the director of football for the GFA, a move aimed at strengthening the long-term development of Ghanaian football, GFA adds. His extensive career has seen him manage national teams including Cameroon, Thailand and Jamaica, as well as top European clubs such as Borussia Mönchengladbach, Karlsruhe SC, VB Stuttgart and Borussia Berlin. Also joining the technical team is Ghana's under-20 coach Desmond Ofei, whose recent success at the 2024 African Games earned him the Sports Writers Association of Ghana SWAG Coach of the Year award. Ofei is expected to bring his technical expertise and analytical acumen to the Black Stars setup. And Scottish Premiership side Hibernian have signed Gambian international Alassane Mane. Mane joined the Scottish outfit from Dennis second-tier leaders Odense Balls Club for an undisclosed fee. The midfielder is Hibernian's first signing of the January transfer window. The Barcelona graduate has joined the Scottish Premiership side on a 3.5-year contract. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
End of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Maodo Diouf and Sheikh Injai for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Cully. Good evening.
And